order the Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, March 17th, 2016. First, we'll have the pledge. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Harlicker, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Stevens,
Here.
Commissioner Haas,
Here.
Commissioner Knobloch,
Here.
Commissioner Schmolke,
Here.
Commissioner Stevenson,
Here.
and Chair Schwartz.
Here. Our first order of business is to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
second.
Motion by Haas, second by Stevenson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have minutes of our February 18th meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Stevenson.
on page 3, the 8th paragraph starts, Commissioner Stevens stated he lived near this neighborhood and frequently drove on Direct River Drive. I think that's supposed to be me. I think that's supposed to be Commissioner Stevenson.
All right.
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Schmolke.
So also on page 2, in the title for the planning case 16-6, there appears to be a typo, I think, in the description there. It says home occupation permit for marital arts, but I think it's probably meant to be martial arts.
All right. And then while we're at it, I've got 3 corrections on the first page.
I have a date that needs to be changed.
I might be covering that.
Okay.
In the first case, on planning case 1531, the title is actually conditional use permit and site plan for expansion of outdoor storage. And then in the motion, we postponed, not tabled, and the date should be May 19th, not April 19th. And also, I did close that public hearing. That wasn't mentioned as well. Did that cover your date?
Yes.
Right. Any other corrections anyone saw? Then accept the motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Stevenson, second.
Second.
Either one.
Second by Stevens.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
All right, it passes with abstentions by Haas and Schmolke. Our first case for the evening is planning case 16-1, site plan for a 15-unit townhome development at 1005 Coon Rapids Boulevard Extension, Vision Bank. And the applicant is requesting that that item be postponed to the April 21st, meeting. I will be opening a public hearing on this, however, so I'll open the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this case tonight? Seeing none, we'll continue the public hearing to the April 21st meeting. And is there a motion to postpone to the April 21st meeting?
So moved.
Stevens
Second.
and Haas. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The second case for the evening is planning case 16-2, preliminary plat, revision 15, a 15-lot townhouse development at 1005 Coon Rapids Boulevard Extension, Vision Bank. And again, the applicant is requesting that it be postponed to the April 21st meeting. And again, I will open a public hearing on that case. Anyone here to speak to that case? Seeing none, we'll continue that public hearing to the April 21st meeting as well. And a motion, please, to postpone that.
So moved.
Smokey,
Second.
second by Hash. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to our new business items. Our first new business is planning case 16-8, a site plan for a parking lot expansion at Sand Creek Elementary School. Mr. Harlicker.
Yes, Commissioner Schwartz and Commissioners, if you get the PowerPoint up. The applicant is proposing a parking lot expansion for Sand Creek Elementary School, located on 21st and Olive Street. The property is shown here, it's highlighted with a black outline. They are proposing a 28-space parking lot expansion. The area in general is right here where the cursor is, kind of in the area just south of where the old tennis courts are, right here. So to give everybody an idea of where in general it sits on the property. This is a site plan that's being proposed. All the expansion is taking place west of the existing parking lot, which is right here. This is the main entrance, existing entrance off of Olive Street, and this is the existing exit back out onto Olive Street with existing parking here. The shaded area is the proposed expansion. Access will be coming in from this north driveway and pulling in, and the parking spaces will be a double-loaded drive aisle here and here. It meets the dimensional requirements of the city code. They're also adding a kind of a drive-through drop-off aisle and staging area right in through here, and then traffic will come back out and exit out through this area here. They're proposing the landscaping as shown here. It meets the city code requirements. Those are all overstory trees. Excuse me. Staff is recommending that the striped areas here and here and here be more of a permanent part of the landscape median to better control parking and traffic into and out of the site. What happens a lot of times with just the striped islands and peninsulas at the ends of parking rows, they tend to get parked on, and you get cars creeping out. And since this is one of a made staging and drop-off area, it needs to be better controlled, and the way to do that would be to make those permanent islands, and then have landscaping on, put landscaping trees on those three islands there. The city engineer has looked at the proposal. This is the grading plan. This is the expansion area here. They are proposing two stormwater ponds here and here to handle the runoff from this new parking area. And with that, staff is recommending approval of the proposed expansion with the following conditions. The new landscaped areas be irrigated. The project complies with Title 11. Grading drainage plans be signed off by the Assistant City Engineer, and all engineering comments be addressed. And the three striped areas at the ends of the rows of parking spaces should be curb and gutter and landscaped with overstory trees. With that, I'll answer any questions, and a representative from the applicant is also in the audience tonight.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Stevenson.
Yeah, I have a question about the tennis court, because you mentioned that it's kind of the area just south of the tennis court, but it seems that the tennis court's gonna have to go for this foot plan, it sits over the footprint of the,
Yeah, Commissioner Stevens, the tennis courts are gone.
Oh, they are
The
gone.
fence is down, all that's left is some remnant paving.
Okay.
That's
Well,
there.
So the tennis courts will be gone, or are gone, and then the area, but it's not all of the tennis court that's going to be parking lot. Portions of the tennis courts extend beyond where, of the old tennis courts.
Correct.
Extend beyond where the parking lot currently exists. What is going to happen in that area?
I don't know, maybe the applicant's representative can address that issue.
Okay.
I assume at some point they're gonna tear it up and seed it.
Commission, any other questions for Mr. Harlicker? Does the representative have anything they'd like to add? Or answer the questions, please? Come up to the mic, state your name.
Mandy Backstrom, civil engineer for Anderson Johnson Associates out of Minneapolis.
Thank you.
To answer your question, we are removing all of the tennis court pavement, but there's a portion of hard surface area that is north of the school property line that will remain. So we are only removing the portion of pavement that is actually on the school's property.
Mr., I don't know, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Stevenson.
I don't know, Mr. Harlicker, I don't know if you know, do you know who owns the land north of, do you know who owns that land north of the?
This area up here, I do not. I know this is the schools, this is really two parcels. You've got a parcel to the north here, right here. And this is the actual lot that the school is on.
But the school district doesn't own the land north there?
To the street?
It's not being removed as part of this project. I don't know what the school's long-term plans are for that. They may own that. It might be city-owned property. Let's try to. Find out. If you please bear with me for a minute here.
While he's looking, did I hear the representative, did you say that they're gonna seed over the land that is being removed, or place sod, or what's happening with the area where the tennis court used to be that isn't gonna be a parking lot?
Right now, we have proposed an infiltration area north of the parking lot that'll take up a significant amount of space. Everything else that's disturbed above that will be sodded or seeded.
Okay.
Then, Mr. Harlicker, since we're including as part of a condition with the islands at the ends of that one row to have plantings, are they going to then have irrigation in those islands?
They will have to be irrigated. There's different ways of doing that. You can have it running with pipes underground. There's also ways, especially in isolated areas like this and on peninsulas, where they actually put a container around the base of the tree and they fill it with water. It's a drip system that keeps the trees irrigated while they're young until they're are established and can hold up on their own. But they will have to be irrigated.
All right, thank you. Commission, any other questions before I open the public hearing? All right, at this time, I'll open the public hearing in planning case 16-8, parking lot expansion for Sand Creek Elementary School. Anyone here wishing to talk on this case? Seeing none, We'll close the public hearing. Commission, thoughts or other questions?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner
I
Stevenson?
gotta tell you, I mean, if it turns out that that land to the north is owned by some other entity, I'm not sure there's much we can do about it, but I don't love approving this with the idea that there's gonna be a chunk of concrete or whatever it is, the hard part of it doesn't appear to actually be part of the tennis court. I don't know if that's, what kind of surface that is, but left out there just in the middle of some grass. I suppose if that's school district land, we could probably add a condition to this, that they need to replace all of the tennis courts and hard surfaces there. If it's not, I don't know that we can, but,
Right. Well, we can't continue because we have to make a decision by April 8th, which is prior to our next meeting. So we need to do something to make a decision one way or the other.
Isn't Mr. Harlicker looking at that right now?
Are you still trying to find?
It's still, it's not loading up.
Okay. Well, I guess at this point, the only thing we might do is add a additional condition that if it's school district property, that we include that to be landscaped. And if it's not, I guess there's nothing we can do about it.
We could ask.
But if, obviously, if part of the tennis court is on that property, I would think the school district has some kind of control over the property,
you would think.
so. Any comments from our city attorney as far as how we might want to proceed on that?
If the school district does own it, to make it a condition because it's all owned by the same property, I agree. If it's not, I think that's okay. I don't know if you want to hear from the representative again.
Sure, if she's got something else to add.
Well, I believe there's actually 2 basketball hoops on that hard surface. Like, it's a basketball court, not actually part of the tennis courts. I know it's really difficult to see there, but that's, I believe, what it was at one point, if not still.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Stevenson?
So I'm just confused. Are you saying that the tennis court portion is being removed, but the entirety of the basketball court, including the stuff south of that property line, is staying?
The tennis courts are divided, like, it's right on the property line. So the end of the tennis courts is at the property line, and then the basketball abuts right up to that and continues on north.
Okay, so the tennis courts are gonna go and the basketball courts are gonna stay?
That's my understanding, yes.
Oh,
I believe that's what it is.
So how long ago was this motion taken?
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Schmokey?
So it is, I know we're talking a lot about the same topic, but I do understand the point, and it is kind of concerning. I think it is imperative that we know that the owner of that parcel then is aware of what's going on. I don't know if it's, because have they been notified?
All the property owners got notified.
They were
Yes, they were.
notified? Okay, so, and they know that this portion of that court is being left there?
That property is either owned by the school district or the city.
So let's say that it's owned by the school district, doesn't it still seem a bit unfinished to just leave that portion there like it's partially done? Or you all concerned about that? Or are we saying that it's going to be, a portion of it is going to be left such that it is still usable? I want to just make sure it's not just that we're doing these improvements, but then just leaving kind of a mess there. That's kind of an eyesore and not usable.
And Mr. Harlicker, according to the table you have in our notes, you state on that table that the property to the north is school property.
Okay. That was my assumption with that they own everything from here up to, whatever street that is up there, 123rd.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Stevenson.
so what I would suggest, what I heard the representative say was that that basketball court, which kind of lies, it appears to, on the picture, to lie over the line, to be split by the line. What I heard the representative say was that the entirety of the basketball court might be staying. And I'm okay with the basketball court staying if it's staying in its entirety. If they're gonna move part of it, then it should all go. And I think, based on your observation in the chart, I think we should just assume that that land is owned by the school district and then we can add a condition. Obviously, if it isn't owned by the school district, it's not. We're not gonna be bound by it. So I think we should just assume that it is. And so I would suggest that we just add a condition saying that if the school district is going to remove a portion of the basketball court to construct the parking lot, they need to remove all of it. If they're gonna leave the basketball court, they can leave it in its entirety. That would be my suggestion.
Leave it in its entirety or remove it in its entirety.
Yeah, they either take it all out or leave it all in the basketball court.
Basketball.
Obviously, they can, apparently already have, removed the tennis courts.
And Representative, you believe that would be acceptable? All right. And is there any special way you think you would like to have that worded?
Chairman Schwartz, I think exactly what Commissioner Stevenson suggested is appropriate. It can either be left in its entirety, as I would just make it a fourth condition. I think we're
Fifth condition.
Fifth condition, and say exactly that. It can be left in its entirety or removed in its entirety. The idea being that it doesn't leave a mess behind.
So the basketball court either remains in its entirety or is removed in its entirety.
Correct. I think that's just fine.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, Commission, anything else?
Yeah, I have a question. Is it
Commissioner
a
Stevens.
usable basketball court right now? I mean, are students using it?
I'm not
You know,
familiar with the
I mean,
basketball
because
court.
that's the thing. If it's kind of cracked and it's not being used, and we're saying that it can stay because you're keeping it in its entirety, but nobody can use it because the hoops are broken or, you know.
Grass
Right.
growing up inside the,
Right, and I didn't
pavement.
make it out there this week to see that, so.
Chair Schwartz, shouldn't that be a decision of the school district whether that basketball court is suitable for fixing up or should be removed?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Schmolke.
if I could take a stab at that, I think our whole point is we just want to make sure that there isn't a mess left after the construction. So we want to make sure that if the basketball court is there right now and it's functional, whether it's a little bit run down or not, we just want to make sure that it isn't going to be dug up in partial and just left there and worse than what any condition it's in right now. So I think they either have to make the decision that it stays or it goes, based on kind of that requirement. Is that stated correctly?
Yep,
Sounds good.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Stevens.
I'd also like to see a sixth condition. The representative said they're going to replace the tennis court with sod to the extent it isn't going to be parking lot. I'd like to add that to be a condition. As opposed to seeding it and having it be a, dirt field for a while.
So tennis court area to be replaced with sod.
And the basketball court if they're removing it. So I wrote that the tennis courts and basketball courts, to the extent that they're removed, be replaced by sod.
All right. And Commission, anything else?
So, excuse me, Chair and Commissioners, to make sure I've got condition number 6 right, that it's if the basketball court and if the remaining paving is removed, you'd like to see it resodded and not reseeded. Is
Yes.
that accurate? Okay.
Anything else, Commission? Do we have a motion?
Excuse me, did you open and close the public hearing?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Stevenson.
I move that in planning case 16-8, the planning commission approve the site plan with conditions stated in the report and the following 2 additional conditions: that the basketball court be left in its entirety or removed in its entirety, and that the tennis court and basketball court, to the extent they are removed, be replaced by sod.
All right. Motion by Stevenson, second by Schmolke. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's a decision by the Planning Commission and can be appealed to the City Council if someone so chooses. Thank you. All right, next we're up to Planning Case 16-3. Consider an ordinance amendment to revising the allowed exterior building materials requirements. Chair Harley.
Yes, Chair Schwartz and Commissioners. If you recall, back in January, the Commission considered and recommended approval of an ordinance amendment revising the requirements for exterior building materials. That recommendation and proposed ordinance went to the council in February, and that when they were introducing the ordinance, they had some discussion, some concerns about the several items within that ordinance. The first thing that they suggested was that the non-reflective clause be removed from the description of architectural glass, that the city be allowed to approve a mix of materials as well as materials not on the accepted list, and that council have the authority to approve other mix-and materials. If you recall, the description of architectural glass included a just line that prohibited or limited mirrored glass. As an example, they referenced the bank building down on Coon Rapids Boulevard and Springbrook Drive. They wanted to be able to have that type of building in the city. So they asked staff to remove that clause about non-reflective from the description of architectural glass. The second item is the mix of materials. The council wanted the ordinance to include some flexibility of mix of materials as well as type of materials. They didn't want to see the ordinance prohibit an old brick building or an old glass building. So staff added the language of mixed materials to the clause. And the other item that they asked staff to look at was the issue of staff discretion on the mix of materials. The original ordinance had included language that provided the director with discretion to determine if a material not on the list was acceptable. Council thought it was important to reserve that function for themselves, similar to design flexibility that's applicable in the overlay, River Rapids overlay and port districts. So staff included language that City Council may approve an alternative mix of materials or alternative materials, provided the applicant demonstrates the modification results in a better integration of the building with the surrounding area. How that would work, it'd be similar to design flexibility with site plans that are in the port, where the planning commission would review the site plan, and the issue of flexibility would then be, final determination would be made by the city council. So planning commission would act, make a recommendation on the design flexibility or the mix of use flexibility, and they would have approval of the overall site plan. Those were the three changes that were made. The remainder of the proposed ordinance has not changed from what the planning commission reviewed in January. And so with that, I will answer any questions.
Well, Mr. Harlicker, first off, I think to some degree that puts us at somewhat of a disadvantage in that we have to go by the set list of approved materials and designs when we review the plan, not knowing what the council's gonna do to it.
Commissioner Swartz, I think it would, I see it functioning similar to the way it works now with any sort of the flexibility in the port districts. You would make a recommendation to the city council recommending approval of design flexibility or mixed material flexibility. Then that recommendation would go to the city council for their consideration. So the process in a way is already in place for that to occur.
All right, Commission, any other questions for Mr. Harlicker? All right, we have a public hearing in this case, so I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak to planning case 16-3, the ordinance amendment on exterior materials? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commission, your thoughts or motions?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Schmolke.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the proposed ordinance amending the requirements for exterior building materials for planning case 16-3.
Second it. Motion by Schmolke, second by Knobloch. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This is a recommendation by the Planning Commission and will be introduced by the City Council at their April 5th meeting. All right, next we have Planning Case 16-7, a registered land survey at 9055 and 9065 East River Road, City of Coon Rapids, HRA. Mr. Harlicker.
Yes, Commissioner and Chair Schwartz, this is a registered land survey. If we could get the PowerPoint back up. The property is located on East River Road. Addresses are 9055 and 9065 East River Road. This property to the north here is owned by the city. It was acquired as part of the scattered sites process and is for sale by the city. The property to the south is owned by, excuse me, another party. And it's, what is being proposed, there's an area of discrepancy between the titles between the city-owned property and the property to the north. On the registered land survey, it's shown as tract B. The property to the north is abstract title, I believe, and the property to the south is a Torrens. And so what would typically would do is just be a lot line adjustment and move that lot and then combine it with the property to the north. But because the properties have different titles, that's not an option for the city. So what, in discussions with the surveyor, the way to remedy that situation would be is to do a registered land survey, create two separate parcels, parcel A and parcel B, and then parcel B will be transferred to the city and will be sold as part of the city's lot to the north, and the property to the south here will remain with the current landowner. So it's really, what it is a more formal lot line adjustment because of the differences in titles. And with that, staff is recommending, the Planning Commission recommend approval of the registered land survey. And with that, I will answer any questions.
Any questions of the commission from Mr. Harlicker?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Stevenson?
I'm just curious. So the reason why tract B goes with the city-owned land in your report, it says because it's historically considered part of the city-owned parcel. What's
Well,
the history?
There's a fence along this property line here.
On the south side there?
Yep. So it was,
Good enough for
and
me.
it was an agreement that was reached between the city and the owner of Tract A to remedy the situation.
Anything else from commission? All right, well, we have a public hearing on this case, so I'll open the public hearing in planning case 16-7, registered land survey for 9055 and 9065 East River Road. Anyone here to speak to the public hearing? Please step up to the microphone, sir, give your name and state your address, please.
Alan Erickson, I live at 9050 East River Road, right across the street from what you're talking about. And I'm under the impression you wanted to divide that and get two lots in there for two houses. Am I wrong in saying that?
We, as the commission, have no idea. The property to the north is owned by the city. It's part of their redevelopment area, I believe. And at this point, there's no plans as far as what's going to be done with the property. They just want to clear up this property line issue so that something can be done in the future with the property.
Yeah, Chair Schwartz, maybe I can address that.
Mr. Harker.
This little sliver here, this parcel B, will be combined with the vacant property to the north,
Yeah,
the
but
city-owned property.
right, I'm talking about this.
We don't own that. That's under control of, I believe, the property owner who owns this lot here. That's not proposed to be.
I was under the impression they want to put two houses there. Where did that come? I don't know.
I don't know. What this does is creates these two parcels, and this will be combined with the city-owned to the lot to the north. The city will sell that, and it's likely that a house will go on this lot.
Yeah, there's a house there now. There was.
Yeah, yep, so their house will go there. At this point,
The city owns that one, I think, this
No.
property. The city or the county tore it down.
the city owns this is the house we tore down. I don't know if that there was ever a house on this lot.
This lot here is here from this, here to there.
Yep,
They tore a house down there
okay,
because they were doing something illegal. So they tore the house down.
but the city doesn't control what happens on that lot. They could decide to try to put a house on there.
That's what
It's
I'm
owned,
at.
it's owned for single-family residential. As part of this application,
Right, but-
no development is being proposed for
Okay,
that lot.
well, I understood it was different, so,
Okay,
so we're not even talking about that.
nope.
We'll have another hearing when they put a house in there.
Probably
plan on
not, no. You know, it's a single-family lot, just like somebody could buy that and pull a building permit, and if it meets all the requirements,
On one
they
lot.
could put a house there.
One house.
Right.
But
If they wanted to split it again and put two houses on there,
That's,
then you would be a public hearing
And
for
that's what
something like
I
that.
understand, I understood it that way, I'm sorry.
Okay, no,
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you. If you have anything to add, please step up to the mic. Give your name and address, please.
My name is Peggy Spurgeon. I live at 871 90th Avenue Northwest. And my question is you said it was zoned single-family. But we know how zoning can change, and so say it's single-family now, and then it becomes something else down the road. The city, has a zoning planning meeting, they decide they rezone it. We watched what happened with the Jehovah Witness Church that was which had city permission to, what's the word? They didn't meet the requirements for egress, and the city gave them an allowance to do that. And that was a lot of hearings way back when. And other things, that have happened, so I know that things can change. Right now, I see how it is, but thinking down the road, there's no guarantees that doesn't become an apartment building, And then we have this nice, quiet little sort of neighborhood on each side of East River Road that now becomes, more crowded. You got school buses, you got people, you got, a lot of traffic. So that's my concern with, this. I appreciate the notification of it. But at the same time, if something were to change on that, then I think we would like to be notified.
If the property would be
Yes, you would be
rezoned, you
notified
would
of
be
any
noticed on a
changes.
hearing for rezoning.
Right,
you'd get the same sort of notification that you got for this.
right. Yeah, I just know how government can work. So, obviously, by the two of us that are here. Doesn't always work so well for the citizens, but thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming up.
Anyone else for a public hearing? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commission,
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Stevenson.
I move that in Planning Case 16-7, the Planning Commission recommend approval of the proposed registered land survey.
Second.
Motion by Stevenson, second by Hash. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This is a recommendation by the Planning Commission and decision by the City Council at the April 5th meeting. Mr. Harlicker, anything else under our other business, current development?
Nothing new right now. The River North Apartments are underway. They're starting to shape, coming up out of the ground, so that's good. And for next month, we did get a application for an amendment to the Gateway PUD. The car dealership would like to put a bigger facility on the property. So they would like the two adjacent lots to be incorporated into their design.
So that would be the property that we originally had for the car dealer and the
And the swim club.
Club.
Correct. Yep. And then we have the,
Then we have the townhome.
then the townhomes will be back next month,
Okay.
correct?
And that's all we have right now?
Yep, townhomes, the reason they asked for it to be postponed is a couple things. They're redesigning the units, they're making them a little bit wider, and in doing so, they'll actually be reducing the number of units. At this point, they're looking at probably 11. So they're down from 15 to 11.
Okay. And didn't we continue the mini storage to April as well?
To May.
Oh, that's to May, that's right, all right. Okay, so at least we have something for next month.
Yep.
All right, Commission, anybody have anything they would like to add additionally? Otherwise, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by, that was Stevens?
Yes.
Second by Hash? Sure. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.